Hanuman is a god in the Hindu religion and holds a powerful place in rich Hindu mythology. The character is associated with immense power once unleashed by the gods as punishment. Monkey Man is the story of a boy who feels the power of Hanuman in himself, the way his mother told him in his childhood, and uses the power to take vengeance for her unjust murder. Kid watches Hanuman's picture in the book as his mother tells the story mesmerizingly, describing him how Hanuman fed himself on jungle fruits, but one day he saw the mango fruit in the jungle and picked it from the tree. But mistakenly, what he ate was the sun instead of a mango. For his grave mistake, Hanuman was asked to present himself before the council of gods who stripped him of his powers. In a charged audience who are betting on two wrestlers, a fighter with a monkey's mask receives a heavy beating from the opposite fighter. People put the bet money in a wooden box carried by a little child when the Fight Club owner Tiger takes the mick. He announces the victory of Fighter King Cobra when in the hind scene, Monkey Man disappointedly walks towards the dressing room. The multiple patches on the face cause mouth bleeding, and Kid washes his face to clean the blood when he remembers the night police attacked and burnt his village. Kid pulls himself back from sad memories of his past when he hears Tiger's voice in the changing room. He turns towards Kid and pays him a meager amount for participating in the fight. Kid pleads to increase the money and Tiger ignores him, telling him to try to win next time to earn more. The emerging religious and political leader, Baba Shakti, is gaining popularity among the general public. Kid watches the news and is sitting at a cheap restaurant when a boy named Lucky asks him for money in exchange for the required information. After ordering the juice and paying money, he hears the boy telling him about a woman named Queenie, who owns an expensive restaurant and is a very bold lady. The scene shifts from the same woman. Queenie refuses to give alms to a beggar, and he accidentally throws her a glass of drink. The beggar successfully draws her attention to the hustle and steals her wallet. He transfers the wallet to multiple hands before it finally reaches Kid, who searches it for any valuable information. The card inside the wallet directs him to the famous restaurant, and Kid waits for quite a while outside to get entry. Finally, a man takes him to Queenie. Kid returns her wallet, saying that he fought with two beggars to get this and wants a job at the restaurant as a reward. He strictly refuses the money and agrees to do any job for as long as he wants in the restaurant. He convinces Queenie that he is tough by showing his burnt hands. Suddenly, he looks at a picture of his mother's murderer, Policeman Rana, with Queenie, and remembers the night he burned his mom. Queenie's voice brings him back to the reality that she agrees to hire him as a cleaner. Kid starts working and meets Alfonso at the restaurant the next day. He supplies all kinds of weeds to the wealthy customers at the restaurant and offers any help to Kid. A few days later, Kid reaches a pan shop and tells him to make a special pan for him. The shopkeeper knows it's a secret code and directs a Kid to take him to the nearby house. The man in the house sells unlicensed weapons. Kid selects a gun appropriate for his mission and leaves. During his work hours the next day, he watches Queenie humiliating a young girl, Sita, for complaining about the brutal clients. Queenie blames her for being overdramatic and calls Kid inside. She asks Kid to turn his face towards the wall and gives Alfonso a heavy amount to arrange drugs for clients while she brings girls. As Kid watches Alfonso leave, he follows him and offers to become friends. That way, they will make a lot of money. As proof, he tells him about his fight club and asks him to bet on his defeat. That way, he will win. Alfonso bets on his defeat and wins some money in the subsequent fight in the club. In return, Alfonso takes him to the fancy hall, where he supplies drugs to the wealthiest customers. The restaurant shows a menu card, and the customer chooses the girls from menu to escort them. Kid looks at a man taking a young girl into his room. Afterward, Alfonso offers to give him a ride in his fancy vehicle, which turns out to be a super-fast auto rickshaw. They drive through the whole city in the middle of the night. The next day, serving drinks in the same hall, Kid watches the same girl, Sita, sitting with a client who started behaving inappropriately with her. Kid remembers the night her mother died. There were riots in the village and villagers were asked to leave, but they resisted and stayed until they burnt the whole town. Kid could not bear the sight of inappropriate behavior with the girl and left the hall almost running. He sits in the open air using the restaurant's back door when a stray dog stands beside him. He feeds a piece of food from the junk when Sita comes there. She notices his panic in the hall and advises him to leave this job if he can't bear such scenes. Despite answering her, he asked her about the tattoo of a quail bird on her arm, which is a sign that she wants to sing beautiful songs. In the coming days, he practiced with the gun to perfect his target. He also taught his dog to walk with the gun and give it to him through the back door. He continued fights and restaurant jobs simultaneously until he perfected his target with the weapon and found himself ready for attack. On the final day, he carries drinks to the hall with Alfonso. He gets entry into the special area for the first time where he plans to assassinate his target. Soon he looks around and spots policeman Rana sitting with Sita. Kid secretly mixes the bathroom acid in Rana's drug. He puts the powder on Sita's leg and sniffs it, but it starts bleeding as soon as it reaches his nose. He gets so nervous and goes to wash his nose in the bathroom. Suddenly, Kid points his gun at him, reminding him that he murdered his mom. But unfortunately, Rana notices his hands trembling and kicks his hand. The weapon falls away. On the other hand, the guests hear the voice of gunfire and start running out of the hall. On the other hand, Kid tries to kill Rana with all his power, but he keeps hitting him. Once again, he fails to hold the gun from another man and it slips away. Rana beats Kid and inserts a knife in his thigh. Kid pulls out the knife and inserts it into Rana's back. Afterward, he tries to escape the restaurant and finds a way to the parking area. Alfonso is already there with the crowd. Kid gets in the rickshaw, takes Alfonso along, and drives it as fast as possible. They dodge police vans many times. A helicopter is whirling in the sky to follow them. They stop the rickshaw and run, but the police follow them. They finally arrest him, but Alfonso escapes with the regretful feelings of leaving Kid behind. Kid regains his consciousness in the police van with handcuffs and sits between many police officers. He attacks the police before they can do anything. Taking their gun, he injures the police and unlocks the van. Kid runs and enters a brothel while the police search him like wild animals in every corner. Kid gets out of the brothel and begins running once again on the streets. He runs on the roof of the houses when a sniper in the helicopter opens fire at him. He falls into the water. Kid remembers his mother taking him to a water stream as a little boy. She always reminds him of being very powerful and capable of defeating enemies like Hanuman. Suddenly, his mother watches the lines on his hands and tells him that these lines determine what he wants to do in life. She asks Kid what he wants to do. He opens his eyes and finds himself in the middle of numerous faces. They treated him for his bullet injuries and kept him there. There, Ionich and Alpha asks him to stay there and get ready to take revenge once he regains his powers. Kid does not want to wait, but knowing that the police are looking for him, he decides to hide in the place with these people. On the other hand, Shakti Baba's number of followers has increased daily. He's gaining popularity with each passing day. Rana comes to visit him to search for and kill his attacker, but Shakti asks him to ignore that and focus on the upcoming elections. On the other hand, Kid observes Munich's and their celebration. They sit around the fire and make jokes while Ustad Shakir plays tabla. The night deepens, but Kid cannot enjoy their company or smile at the jokes. He finally gets up and sits alone in the solitude. Alpha joins him in watching his agony. He takes Kid to their sacred tree. It is enlightened with numerous lamps in the night. Alpha can sense the anger of revenge taking over Kid. He reminds him of the importance of his rage and pain, which drives his vengeance. He assures that his pain will change into ease the day he takes revenge. With that, he removes a flower from the sacred tree and makes the flower powder in his hand. The powder will help him remember his anger. He throws the powder with a blow on Kid's face, and suddenly Kid recalls that in his childhood, he saw his village burning. In an extreme agony, he felt a stinging pain in his chest. Hanuman tears his clothes and opens his chest. He tears his shirt and opens his chest to feel the sun burning inside. That day, the whole village was watching a puppet show of Hanuman and Sita when the police arrived on the order of Shakti Baba. He wanted the village's land, so he appointed the police to throw the villagers out of their houses using power. The police started burning the houses and killing innocent villagers wherever they found them. Rana, leading the whole operation, looks at Kid's mother lustfully. Knowing Rana's intentions, Kid's mother asks him to hide on the roof and never come out, no matter what. In a few minutes, Rana barges inside the house and begins inappropriately touching his mother. She takes out the hidden knife and pierces it inside Rana's body. Rana raped his mother and then asked the subordinate to burn her. Kid, watching the whole inside from a small slit in the roof, runs towards his mother to save her from burning, but she could not do anything. In an attempt to save her, he burns his own hands too. The police set the whole village on fire. Alpha looks at the burns on Kid's hand and encourages him to make this pain his power. This will be his strength to fight with the system. On the other hand, Shakti Baba performs yoga in his home with peace. The Kid recovers a bit and starts preparing himself for revenge. He punches the punching bag and hesitates to continue the practice when Master Shakir detects his hesitation and plays tabla to create a rhythm. Tabla's voice keeps him going for a while. The other Ionich clap as he punches on the bag. It gets faster with the time. At last, he gets tired and cannot keep up with the fast beats of Master Shakir's tabla, and successfully ignited the fire between the majority and minorities. On the other hand, Kid trains himself as hard as he can. He calms his mind on the rhythm of the beat, and finally a day comes when Master Shakir stops playing tabla, but Kid does not get tired. Now they know that Kid is ready for the big fight. That day, Alpha receives notice from the government to vacate their house or pay the due money. The amount is so big that they cannot afford to pay while they have no other place to go. Kid hears them and decides to help in his way. He prays and steals the money in the money box. On the other hand, after a long time, Alfonso watches the posters on the wall announcing a fight between Monkey Man and Cobra in the Fight Club. Meanwhile, a little boy, Lucky, submits money to a man betting on Monkey Man's win. A huge crowd arrives to watch the fight in the ring that day, and Tiger is sure of Monkey Man's defeat. He takes a lot of money from the public and bets on Monkey Man's defeat. The fight begins, and contrary to the old fights, Monkey Man defeats Cobra in the first kick. Tiger insists on fighting to maintain the thrill, but the Cobra does not move despite their effort. Tiger calls another fighter to fight against Monkey Man to keep the show going. In a few punches, the other fighter also surrenders, and the audience gives Monkey Man a huge shout-out. They relate his power with the power of Hanuman, and Alfonso watches the fight and feels so proud of his friend. That boy receives a lot of money for Kid's victory. He puts the whole amount in a bag and hangs it on the statue. Dunnits receive a note inside the bag advising them to remember their identity. On the big day of Holi, the whole country celebrates it in their way. At the same time, the Monkey Man chooses this day for final revenge. Shakti Baba arrives at the hotel that night. On the other hand, Queenie wants everything perfect for her guests. Rana is appointed to the security while Shakti sits in the big hall. Kid enters the hotel and knocks out the security in the hallway. Afterward, several masked Dunnits enter the parking area. At the same time, Kid makes his way into the kitchen and beats every man who resists with knives and colanders. Afterward, he sets the area on fire and moves ahead. He confronts several security men in the elevator. With his immense power and strategy, he slits the security man's throat. Suddenly, the people in the hall sense danger when a few lights turn off. With that, the elevator light blinks and its door opens. A corpse falls as the elevator door opens. Behind the man, Kid lights the small firecrackers and throws them on the crowd. He makes his way by fighting and defeating men coming in his way. At the same time, the other people leave the hall immediately. Suddenly, the elevator door opens and several security guards surround Kid to attack him. Just when Kid thinks of what to do, Alpha with several eunuchs enters the hall. Kid regains his strength, and they attack the enemy with full force. They kill many people, but Alpha reminds Kid to stop wasting his time here and follow his enemy Rana. Kid runs towards the elevator when he sees Queenie pointing her gun toward him to target him. At the same time, Sita bangs a tray on her head and Queenie falls. Kid cuts Queenie's thumb to access the secret room. He needs her fingerprints verified. Grabbing the thumb in his hand, Kid starts searching for Rana. Rana underestimates Kid's energy and starts hitting him with all his force. Kid bears a few punches and then the anger takes over his body. He started punching Rana until he could not get up. Kid grabs Rana's hair, bangs his head multiple times on the floor, and punches him in the face. He remembers how Rana burnt his mother. And in that anger, Kid hits Rana's face with shoes and punches him until he dies. The hotel security does not come to save Rana and prefers to hide to save their lives. Once again, Kid remembers his house burning, and as a kid, he cries standing in front of it. He knows Shakti Baba is backing this violence and hate. He takes the elevator to search for the prime culprit of the crimes and reaches where Shakti Baba is already waiting for him. Kid wants to know if he knows who he is and why he killed his mother. Shakti shows his indifference to these matters and shows his slippers to Kid. He wants to portray himself as a simple man. Suddenly, Kid hears the sound of a helicopter and his attention diverts momentarily. Shakti takes advantage of the moment and attacks Kid. He injures him with the nails hidden inside his hands. But before Shakti can attack twice, Kid stops him and kills him with his pointed nails. At that moment, Kid feels himself as a true Hanuman in the Ramayana, carrying a lot of power. He finally feels peace and sees himself in his imagination with his mother. Both of them sing a beautiful song, Walking on the Mountain. The movie ends here. What do you think of this recap? Please drop all your thoughts in the comments section below. One like from you and maybe subscribing would be a great support for us. And that's it for now. See you in the next videos.